All right. So today we're going to look into counseling children who are very young, maybe uh, 10, 10 years and 10 years, below 10 years. So elder children, they do understand what we are trying to communicate, and sometimes we can ask them questions and get replies from them. But then when we consider children who are less than 10, then it becomes difficult for us to verbally get that information from them, because I don't think they can speak like how adults are expressive in communicating what their problem is in a counseling session. If they're voluntarily coming and adults are coming, and they can talk voluntarily about what they want to talk, but that's not the case in young children, because they cannot like come and tell you that this is what is going through, this is what is happening, or this is what my problem is. And mostly what happens is in schools they are referred by the teacher, principal, or someone else. And in other cases, when they meet you in a private clinic, it could be that they are brought by their parents. So, such things, how do we handle, is something that we are going to exclusively look into today. And when I wanted to talk about this topic, I was just going through the news and I found this incident on social media today. It's something in which the one of the news I mean, I don't remember which channel exactly, but they had like posted this news. There was this sixth standard boy who was admitted in the hospital with the slit on his neck. The neck was slit. So, getting into the investigation of what actually happened in this particular scenario. So what has happened is in this particular student, with school uniform, has been walking on the road, and a few people find him bleeding on the neck, and they get scared and like they come to rescue him, and he's conveyed to them that people came in a bike with mask and they slit my throat and ran away, I mean my neck, and ran away, is something that he conveyed to them. After which they had taken him to the nearby hospital and got him admitted there. And they informed the parents as well. And as a routine, the police do come there. And then the boy conveys the same message to the police as well. And later on, the police, like, they investigate about what happened and they check the cameras to like the cat who has done this to this boy and for what was the intention and other things. Later they come to know that in the camera they've seen that this boy moves to a lane where no one else is there, and he himself has slit his neck. He used a blade or something and he slit his neck, and he's been walking on the road. And looking at him, when people have asked, he said this story to them, and the other things happen. And when police find this out, they come and ask him in a polite way about, we know what has happened, can you tell us really about why you did this to yourself, why did you cut yourself? Then he says that the teacher had given him science homework and he had not completed that, and because of that he was scared that his teacher would scold him or beat him, and that is why he did this, in order to escape from that, is the mentality of this particular child. That is why he did this self harm to himself. So this was the scenario. So why I brought this in today for discussion is I just want you to tell me. So 600 must be hardly 11. So can you give me some ideas of what is the kind of mind set of this boy? Where things went wrong? What is your opinion about it? Anyone can speak about it who heard this. Anita ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. From what history that you had given us, I think it's probably it was an impulsive act. Was it a suicidal kind of attempt by the boy? Was there something in the family that was actually disturbing him, or was it some person on the road who had actually tried to bully him? That he tried to, harm himself, deliberately. So, adolescent, looking at the age, I think it's like I'm not very sure if I just missed something. It could have been a suicidal act.
No, actually, I take into consideration whatever you said, but the question which I'm asking is, whatever I'm telling you is a fact. It's actually what happened after thorough investigation. The boy cuts his neck because he wants to escape that particular getting that scoldings or beatings from that particular teacher, and he doesn't know what else to do, so he does this. So, can somebody else tell me about what could actually be the intention? Can Chanchal speak about it? Whatever you know, you can say.
Ma'am, I think I just missed that teacher was, did he perform well in the subject? And the teacher was trying to actually, tell him that he has not been performing well in some subject. Was that
Yeah, it could be. So
also
maybe
there?
he's like he's so very scared that something will happen. Maybe he's scared of being insulted in front of someone else. I mean, the classmates, the fellows classmates, or some fear that
Hmm.
it could be conveyed to the parents, or whatever it could be. It also has a lot of responsibility from the side of adults on the
Hmm.
parenting. So, how would you?
Hmm.
It's not escapism is not a solution to handle a problem. If you have
Yes.
difficulty in something, maybe you need to be equipped with the right kind of methods in which you need to like help yourself with. Maybe this child missed out on it from the side of the parents and the school also. Like, I think though we speak a lot about such things, I think the very act of corporal punishments are not fully taken off, maybe especially in the rural. And we've seen some videos which get circulated of children being beaten up in certain schools and all that. So I think as adults, it's not that we have to like induce fear in that particular student. It's wrong, of course. If you've given a homework, if that particular boy has not done it, if the punishment is going to be something, it's not you don't have to like punish people. But if it's a reinforcement, if you can give the person a negative reinforcement is if someone does an act and you don't want that act to get repeated again, you do something in order to so that he doesn't like do that again. It could even be like calling that boy privately and talking to him and inquiring to him about what was the difficulty and what made him to not do that particular homework, or what was the challenge, something like that, no? So that he feels that next time when he is not doing it, he'll be called again and spoken to. Maybe that is causing some inconvenience, better let me do it. Or I come to know about what it is, what the challenge is. Maybe he didn't understand the subject, or he didn't have people to help him, or whatever could be the reason. So when I'm going to give hard punishments, so I think the child makes it it's okay for me to even like damage myself, that I escape from that particular class or that particular school is something to do with the teachers, the how the school is, or again about how the brought up is, what we have taught, what as adults we've taught. And though there's government order that every school should have a psychologist, a school counselor, they're not doing that. They're not having, many are not having a qualified school counselor. But in many, there are many appreciable schools here I see in Coimbatore, which who have full-time counselors. In Chennai, I missed out a little bit on what is happening because I've been for quite some time at Coimbatore after my marriage. But as long as I was living there, when I was in school, 20 years back, there was a school counselor in my school. Mine was a matriculation school. And I think that if that could be, no, if that could have been there, maybe this such things could have, maybe it doesn't happen. So getting back to today's topic, I'm going to make you do a small activity which is not very difficult, and I'm not going to ask you for answers as well. So if you're ready and prepared, it's some mental work that you're going to do. I want you to just have a notebook or a paper and a pen so that you make a note of what I'm going to do. So if you're ready, I want you to just give me a thumbs up so that I'll begin with giving you the instructions.
Yes, ma'am, ready.
All right. Thank you. So, first, what I want you to do is I want you to think of an animal. You can think of an animal, anything. It can be a domestic animal, it can be a wild animal, anything. But the instruction given to you is just think of an animal which you feel very close to, or you just felt at this moment that you want to represent that animal. I mean, you want to bring in that animal. That animal struck your mind, so you're just bringing that. So if you've done with this first step, you can just put a thumbs up. All right. So I can see only Chanchal responding. Yeah, okay. Sarab, thank you. Thank you, Maheshwari ma'am. All right. So now, after completing the first step of like thinking about your favorite animal, whatever like stuck your mind when I said choose an animal, this is the next step. I just want you to write down a few things for the questions which I'm going to ask, and you're not going to share that with me. I'm not going to ask you to do that, but it's for your own self work, which I'm wanting you to do. I want you to think about what this particular animal likes. It's, let's say that uh, we'll just give the name of that animal. Maybe I'm naming it as Jazz. I have an animal in mind and I'm naming that animal Jazz. Okay. So, what does Jazz like is something that I want you to write. It's not about the Jazz here is about your favorite animal. What do you think that the animal that you have chosen likes? It's only imaginary. It's only imaginary according to you what it likes. So once you've finished answering this question, you can put a thumbs up so that I'll go to the next. All right. So the next question is, what does it not like? What are certain things it does not like? The third question is, What does jazz think that the good things it has? What are some good qualities? So, return the good qualities of your favorite animal. You can put a thumbs up. All right. So now you can write down what are certain bad qualities or negative qualities which why I'm mentioning the term bad here, I will explain it to you later, because generally we don't use good bad, but this is something which I'm trying to teach you to work with young children below the age of 10. So that's why I'm using such terms like good and bad, which is easily understandable by them than saying healthy, not healthy things. Huh? So, yes. So, what are the bad things of your favorite animal? And then coming back to the next question, who appreciates jazz when it does good things? Just pen down. Can we go to the next question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, what happens when it does bad things? What happens when it does bad things? You've completed? You can put a thumbs up. Who loves the animal more? Who likes jazz? Who loves jazz? The next one, which is its safe place? So, what does jazz or your favorite animal consider to be its safe place? So, all these questions are imaginary. So, whatever strikes the mind can be the answer. There is no logic in this that this should be right, this should not be the answer. There is no right or wrong in any of these answers which you're going to give to these questions. So, if you've completed, just put a thumbs up. All right. So this is nothing but the favorite animal test activity which we use with young children. So how this can be done is now because you're all adults. While I was talking to you, I just immediately instructed you to think about a favorite animal or whatever strikes your mind first, but to children, there's a methodology in which I can do this as an expressive arts therapist. One thing is, I can ask them to think about their favorite animal and draw the animal. So, generally, in an expressive arts setup, or even in student, when I go for student counseling, in the counseling room, I make sure that there are colors, paint, and clay, so such things. So one option is you can draw your favorite animal. Then another option, you can paint your favorite animal, or there can be pieces of paper, some old newspapers or magazines. So they can do some collage work by putting their favorite animal and creating the animal safe place. So from that cuttings, from the newspaper cuttings, from the magazine cuttings, they can make a collage and represent that animal So that's one way in which they can do. Then they can be this clay modeling. Using clay models, they can make their animal. We are not looking at that artistic skill of a child, but we are just letting them free to explore what it is, how it is. No, like just an expression. We are promoting that self expression rather than looking at how good they are able to make the model or how good that artistic skill is. We are not concerned much about. So that is the confidence we give the child also in the beginning. You do, some children will say, ma'am, I don't know to draw. We can say, like, it's okay, Kanna, whatever you know you draw. Ma'am is not going to correct it, or I'm not going to tell you good or bad. Whatever you know you can do, please feel comfortable. This is only for you and me. I'm not going to show it to anybody else. So something that we're going to say. So they can feel comfortable in expressing themselves in whichever modality they want to. And one more thing is, we can have a jar of play animals, like small toys, generally in a counseling setup where there is this provision for sand therapy. Just a small portion in the room where you can fill it with sand, and then you give some materials, some toys or some other materials which they can put into and say a story about that particular, even this favorite animal activity. I can, in the jar, from the jar I can actually ask them to pick an animal which they want to, and they can put it on the sand, and what are the other necessary components to be put on the sand. I can have some toys which can be added on, something like that, no? So it can be anything that they might place a shelter, they might place a home, they might depending upon the availability, even while drawing also. It can be even food that they're placing for that animal, whatever. So generally, when you look at children who are a little aggressive, tend to include figures which like animals like tiger, lion, and such things, and a little bit who tend to be a little passive or a little submissive, polite. They go with these kind of choices like a rabbit, a dog, puppy. And it's also good that you can do some self analysis on the kind of animal you chose. And I want you to make a connection with the responses you had given to the questions which was asked about the animal. So generally, children who are like quite innocent, they have no idea of why I'm asking them to even do that. So very innocently, they will be talking about themselves when I talk about their favorite animal. If it is a puppy, so when I ask uh, the puppy, like, what is your puppy like? So they'll exactly project what they like. It could be they say that it likes snacks. It can like junk food. But like for these questions, what are some bad things? This puppy is little naughty. The puppy hits the other puppy, so it gets into trouble. And responses like no one appreciates the puppy, and yeah, it maybe it says no. The child is quite open. The child can exactly say what the child does by associating that to the puppy, and who loves the puppy more. Maybe the child may say that the parents like it more, or the puppy loves itself, or no one loves the puppy is also an answer. It's just an answer which has deeper meaning inside what is being communicated, and the safe place which is created for that puppy. There could be certain things, questions you can ask, and I think we've learned this in the basic skills of counseling, of how we structure a session and how we lead a session. The question I ask the question I put forth to that particular child should be in a way that I'm able to get more information about what I want to really work on with that particular child, but not letting the child close up. When I feel that it could be something offensive to me, or like something like when I feel that this question is like a threat to me, then I will close up. This happens with everybody. So the way, that knack of handling that and the kind of how I take it forward purely depends upon the skill of the therapist who takes it across, the student counselor, in whoever, whatever technique they're using. So when generally people take up expressive arts workshops, I keep telling them that they're already from a social work background, or they're already from a psychology background. So once you've done your masters, when you're going to put it into practice, you can use these tools which you have learned, some simple tools which whatever you've learned in that workshop, you can use it. Otherwise, if you have to practice as a full, I mean, you want to be known as a expressive arts therapist or an arts therapist, you need to have a university degree. You need to like study in a college, and especially I do encourage full time, because I think that there's a lot of work which we do when we go to an institute and we learn. We work in an institution, we learn things, we do internships, we go to conferences. The college sends you to seminars, conferences, gives you field work, dissertation, thesis work. All this is a very big learning. So that when we do all that and fully we learn the subject, then we get expertise over it. So now, I first told you about this methodology in which we were representing the animal, the favorite animal, and then collecting information through this projective technique by making the child to talk about that animal. And these questions can also be put in a narrative way, and I can ask the particular child to tell a story about this animal. By connecting all these responses, maybe I can tell a story to that particular child, and maybe I ask them to use their own narrative skills to speak about that to me. So that is one way in which I can get that information using this kind of a technique. So the narrative skills is the storytelling part of expressive arts therapy, which I'm using there. And finally, I can give some inputs for that story through the story. No, I'm not offending the child here by saying that you are doing this wrong, but I can say that your puppy, maybe the Jazz is naughty. Yes, Jazz did all this. When Jazz hit the other child, the child would have got hurt physically. It would have pained for the child. The child could have gone and cried when Jazz did it to the child. So Jazz must change. No, maybe Jazz can do something. So there's, in the next session, when this kind of behavior is continuing again, when I work with the child, maybe I can use this drama technique where I'm asking the child to talk with the Jazz. This requires a little bit of training. So giving that instructions to Jazz, so they think and they come out with the responses of what needs to be changed. So that way this goes on. So these are certain ways in which we can connect with the children who are younger. And generally, when you look at cases, what are the problems which children below the age of 10 generally come for? If you're someone who's working with students um, who are young, who are in the primary, you can give me some suggestions about, like, not suggestions, but what you've seen. Is there something that you want to share about what you've seen as a counselor? So for me,
Ma'am, I haven't worked much with children, but then I think below 10 years, you find that some of them have difficulties with regard to academics. and peer pressure could be one thing, and behavioral problems. Sitting in one place and completing a task could be they could be facing problems with the teacher in school, and academic difficulties that also related to behavioral difficulties, or their behavior which can lead to academic difficulties. Again, concentrating on the academic work, that's one thing, focusing on a particular task. And the other thing is that using foul language, that could be
Exactly.
another thing. Addiction to screen, and when parents are busy, they always want the children to actually be occupied with the screen. So that is those are some of the things which I could think, and if I just recollect some more, I will come up with that.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am. Yes, Chanchal?
Some of the children don't even open up their answers itself. If at all we ask something, for example, names, age, what do they like, they are not even open up. They don't even open up. And some children will be like ignore or start crying. Like at the age of level 9 also, I see children's not even opening up and talking about themselves. So how do you deal about them, like deal with them?
So I think one reason is that we should be clear about what the children is thinking of you being present as a student counselor there. Sometimes people think it's a punishment to go to a counselor. That's what we taught in school. Why? Because we did not have an introduction about counseling or what counseling is, who for what purpose you meet a counselor. Even today, there are certain schools which believe that when children are going to counseling, it means that they're not studying well and it's a punishment. That's how I thought when we had a counselor. Children who don't study well were generally referred to the counselor. So I thought we all of us thought that counseling is a person who comes to just visit the school where children who don't study well are sent to the counselor. So that's one thing. And from what I noticed is, so when I was working with a primary unit in a particular school, I had a good rapport with the coordinator. So the coordinator would tell them that come and do some activities with ma'am. Ma'am has called here to do some activities and she'll bring them, and then I'll give some activities. So there I establish a rapport with that particular child. And then I think after that, when they get that, when feel that it's a safe place, and the way the room is arranged also, generally when you go to a psychiatrist, the how the room of a psychiatrist is more of kind of medicines or books or the name board and other things. But like when it is someone working with children, I think they get scared by looking at it. They think that we've come to a doctor, we don't know whether they'll give us medicines or injections, and we have a big problem. Could be the mindset. So the what I was trying to convey here is that how the appearance of the room is also very important. In this particular school, they gave that kind of freedom where I could choose the wallpapers. I've been with that particular management for quite a number of years. So they gave me this freedom to choose the wallpapers and other toys and decorations in the room. So it gives a very student friendly kind of environment in which they don't come and cry. And like something that which sometimes in one particular school, when I used to ask questions to them, they were not answering back like whatever you told me. They were not giving me proper responses. And when I give them some activity, they won't listen and do that. I was very confused about why they're doing that. Later on only I understood that they did not understand the language. Very sadly, it is an ICSE school. Very sadly, it's an ICSE school, which got converted from metric to ICSE recently. So earlier, they were following the matriculation syllabus, and I think uh, they had teachers who were talking to them in the local language. And when I gave the same instructions in the local language, they did whatever I said. Okay. So I think that school was in the conversion phase, and these were some things that I really feel that why they are not cooperative, whether they're scared of us or no, I'm a stranger, no, when I'm just sitting alone. So to encourage this, what we used to do is in this particular institution where I was talking about, me having a good rapport with the coordinator. She allotted a period for me every week in all the sections from 1 to 5 to just go and meet up with them and have this circle time where we can go, we can give some activities. Like for example, my I had a particular syllabus to like cover, in the sense that in connection to life skills. So how do you express yourself? So, generally, we need to teach our children that verbal language. What is the right kind of word to use to express what I'm feeling? I can be feeling angry, I can be feeling sad, or I can be feeling happy or too much excited also. But many of them do not know to verbalize that. I know that some emotion is there within me, but I'm not even aware of it most of the time. So why am I hitting the other person? Because I'm angry. So to verbalize, to name some, to show some pictures and what is the name of that emotion and which is a positive emotion to which is a negative emotion. So such things we teach, and then giving them this when they're very restless. There are a set of children who are very restless. So we take them out in the sense out of the classroom for this group sessions where they're given this opportunity to like use a private space or to just dance. I had this space and um, comfort zone in that particular school to use that space for dance therapy, where I used to play some instrumental beat songs, peppy music, and for that they'll dance and they'll exert their energies on it. And when you exert your energies and you just express, let yourself out, you give some body movements, then your energy is a little bit drained, and the probability that this child will sit in place in the next period is more than compared to not giving any kind of physical activity or uh, energy exerting activities to that child. So we need to give clear instructions of what they need to do and what they need not do. I mean, what they're not supposed to do in that session where they are allotted 40 minutes, say 40 minutes time, where there are a group of children. Don't touch the other child. You're only going to do your own movements, and there's no right or wrong. You can dance the way however you feel, and nobody is going to see you. We are here in this private space only with ma'am. So, and this one more thing you have to like go down when you're working with very young children is sometimes second standard, third standard, and all. I will also participate in that dance movement. So this is a kind of therapy, dance movement therapy, which you provide, which allows the child to explore their bodies and to exert their energies, and then like they feel good, whatever, no. Down when you move your bodies, even when we go for walking and come back, we feel good, because moving your bodies has a lot to do with the hormonal secretions in your brain, rather than the negative emotions give you certain hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, which is not healthy for the body, is what the physicians say. Similarly, positive things like you can have a release of endorphins and serotonin, which can make you feel very lively and happy. Hmm? That is very important for any individual to give better performance in academics or behavior wise. So that's something which I thought of sharing. Anyone else wants to share something? There can be children who are into habits like I've worked with children who like how what like Anita ma'am was saying, yielding to peer pressure I knew a set of, I was working with a set of students from fourth grade long back. So they were into, though it is stealing, I don't want to use the word stealing. I was just saying picking. They were going around picking pens from a different boys' box. No, it's like, no, they're taking things from others, and they have a collection. They have a bunch of collection from what they've taken from others. So later, when I call and ask that particular set of boys of why they did that, they were saying that the one person was like the person who initiated the whole thing, because they wanted to have a collection of pens. They're all people who are from well-to-do families. There's no necessity that they have to go and steal and use somebody else's. They can buy their own. But why did you steal? Is again this, that it's a kind of crazy thing which you're doing. No, it's kind of passion that I want to have a collection of different things, so that at the beginning stage itself, it's not to insult them or shame them, or in the classroom to look at them in a different way. இந்த பையன் வந்து திருடுற பையன், அந்த மாதிரி, not labeling them as people who, I mean, boys who steal or girls who steal or whatever it is. So, but rather than to work on that picking, instead of insulting them, to just say that it's okay, you did something, you did something for fun, but it's, you have to know that this is not something funny, because you're studying in a particular institution. There are some rules, and you should not like, we should not like take away other people's things, is something that is very important and needs to be taken into consideration. And what are certain other kinds of problems that people could be going through is watching porn at a very young age. They could be victims of sexual abuse, which has been there, and then some kinds of naughty games like touching each other's private parts, which we address as a group, and then this kind of marriage game. No, when the bell rings, it's like the church bell, so we have to exchange rings. So this kind of some certain naughty things which they do is brought to the counselor, which we work on.
Madam, bullying can be there sometimes. Bullying can also be there quietly without the teacher's knowledge. Unless
Yes.
and until the teacher is very observant, she finds that there are a lot of complaints from parents that, this child, particular child, is bullied her. Quietly, they do it sometimes. I've observed that also
Hmm.
in the school.
Right,
And
right.
there's a lot of complaint. Lying is there, and, hiding things from the parents, you know.
Yeah. And as you said, like getting less marks and disturbing other children in classroom can be because of two reasons. One thing is could be that they're not like comfortable with whatever is happening at home, or they're not comfortable with this whatever is happening in school. And the other reason could be that they need to go through an assessment. Basically, we can find it out with the Charnel graded test if you are a trained in using that tool, about the reading age and the spelling age of the child. If it is below the chronological biological age of the child, then there could be something fishy with to do with the child. It could be some kind of learning challenge that the child could have in terms of intelligence or memory, or it's only uh, with the reading and writing with a condition called dyslexia or dysgraphia. So there we need to like do the necessary help or give the necessary referral needed to a special educator or whatever. That could be one of the reason. Another reason could be the behavioral reason. If the behavioral aspects could be corrected, which comes as a result of emotional turmoil that a child goes through. There could be separation between parents, constant uh, quarrels in the family, which is like affecting them, or they're being cornered by a particular teacher, or they're being insulted because of getting low marks, and they're labeled as slow learner, or a naughty kid, or a notorious kid. They're being labeled like that by the school or the teacher or friends or whatever. No, so that could be very disturbing. So there can be various reasons, but I was just trying to tell you that regularly.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Sorry. Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Actually, below 4 years or like that, child also having the behavior issues like screaming and anything else. If suppose now they are beating everything, biting everything, so how we handle that, ma'am?
I think we need to take history from the pregnancy of the mother. How was the mother's mental health? We can collect history about the whole thing and whether the child had any delayed milestones, or how, what is their parenting style, what is the participation of the both the parents in that relationship. If they have siblings, how is the relationship, quality of relationship with the siblings. All this needs to be taken into consideration. How much of quality time there. See, some kids are just left out with the grandparents. They're pampered too much. That could be a reason. Or they had a developmental delay because of which they are behaving in certain ways. So that history is very important. So some cases in pregnancy they have complications like, so this low level placenta and other things which I've heard from the parents. They had someone was going through dialysis all through the time when she was carrying also. The child is someone who's now has problem with the IQ, both the children, in spite of knowing that she's on medicines and all that. She got pregnant twice, and both children are going through different kinds of challenges. And I think that is something very important to take into consideration. We also say that don't get into these kind of congenital marriages, marrying the maternal uncle or the first cousin. So though we say, the when I've seen cases when they're married within the relatives, there's more probability that they can have these kind of some kind of uh, you can call it as challenges, mental challenges, physical challenges, anything could be there. I'm not saying that that is the only reason. That is also one of the main reasons. That so to take the history and to know what it is and to also work with the child is important. But expressive arts therapy and this kind of tests which you can give with coloring, arts, story begins from the age of 4, not below that.
Actually, my relatives, one girl is there. Her son is a little bit aggressive. While when he is having that younger sister of 8 months old only, he don't know the consequences of this. Suddenly, he is pushing, like kicking her and give the strong kick in her stomach and everything he's doing. After telling that thing, na, he feels okay. I'm sorry, sorry. Later on, he's telling that, conveying the sorry, but once she felt pain means automatically he will not understand the consequences of the what are the problems that because she that baby is too young now. That's why how we handle that child.
What's the age of the child?
Age is around 5 years,
Okay.
five to
So
six years,
that's
five
what, as
years.
I told you, there can be
His IQ
various
is very
reasons.
too good. He is even studies everything. He's capturing everything is very easily, and he is too advanced also in that education IQ. Everything else is advanced only. But suddenly he is very aggressive, and uh, we cannot understand that in what way we can convey him and how we treat him also.
How do you think is his parenting style?
Sorry, ma'am.
How do you think his parenting style is?
It's too good only, ma'am. She's very matured and she is also on handling that both the child equally. Everything is there. But as usual, that he is having this little bit of pampering and at the same time of some like நீ ஃபர்ஸ்ட்ல இருக்கணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு that grandparents always insisting him. So maybe the reason I don't know exactly, but she leave this thing to me. That's why.
Among all the reasons that we listed, any one could be fitting there. Either it could be
Okay, that is the historical, ma'am. That history we can understand that thing,
no,
but
madam.
how
History
we
is
treat
very
him.
important, and with
Yeah,
that we
of course,
need.
I can understand, ma'am. What is the reason behind it is means we need to analyze everything. I can understand,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
apart from that, yes, apart from that, how we treat him.
Only when you know the reason, I can tell you what will be the treatment. No, you're not. That is what I'm trying to convey to you. you know that if there is something, there's a correction needed in the parenting style or whatever it is. So if they're being pampered too much, or it is something to do with the child, I will know only after I'm working with the child and I'm working with the parents, if it is a private clinic. Then if I find what is the root cause of why it is happening, why is that particular child getting agitated or irritated, sometimes we might not know. Maybe they might think that uh, they're favoring my sibling over. I'm not talking about the child whom you're talking about, because I don't know anything about the child. So some will make a comparison and they'll get no, they'll want that attention. So maybe they do that. So that also we don't know. So while working with them, when we come to know the reason, after that I think it is easy for us to implement what to do for it, whether it is to be work
Swatina,
needs to be
I
done
just
with the
happened
parent
to.
or with the boy or with the child or what it is. Yes, please.
I insist her, actually, her and her, that is father-in-law, mother also, they changed themselves a lot. Even though, like, போற போக்குல அப்படி ஒரு வயித்துல ஒரு குத்து குத்திட்டு போறது, தலையில டம்முன்னு தட்டிட்டு
Maybe
போறது,
he's just doing it for
அதெல்லாம்
fun.
இல்ல அது ரொம்பவே அந்த குத்துறது நம்மளுக்கு அந்த டிஃபரன்ஸ் தெரியும் இல்லையா? லைக் he cannot control that. அது ரொம்ப ஆங்கர்லயோ இல்ல லைக் நாட் லைக் தட். பட்
Why don't
ஹீஸ்
you take him?
ஃபோர்ஸ்ஃபுல்லி
Why
அந்த
don't you take him to a psychologist outside? Generally, we don't
இல்ல அது
counsel friends and relatives. No, because you're a known
சாரிமா.
person. Because you're a known person, why don't you take them to a psychologist outside?
ஓகே மேம், ஷூர்.
So that could be one thing which maybe they might be able to work better on it in their own style.
ஓகே.
Yeah, yes, Anita ma'am, you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Just I was just thinking of sibling rivalry. Was there any sibling rivalry, jealousy towards the other sibling? Trying to get any some kind of an attention because parents, if they have a small child, they might be devoting all the time, and that child might feel left out. So that child might be craving for any kind of attention. That could be one reason. But again, we just need to have, as you have mentioned, we have to get a detailed history from the parents and see what is the behavior, whom is the child in fact targeting, and then we just need to find out about that, whether the
Sometimes it
child is
could be
having.
role modeling also.
Mm.
Somebody else does that in the
Mm.
neighborhood. We are not talking about this particular child because we don't know, we haven't seen or we haven't worked. But in general, I'm saying when they exhibit this kind of behavior, it's generally more kind of attention seeking. Or sometimes it could be that they have a problem with something. They're emotionally like angry on someone. Yes,
Ma'am, one more thing I was just thinking,
yes.
like how often it is happening, and since when it is happening, the duration.
That is what
That
I'm
also
telling
needs.
you. In a clinical setting, when when you're taking this case privately, all these details we will be collecting. So that will help
Yeah.
us to
Whether
guide
it
them
is
better.
happening at one situation or happening at
Yes.
multiple situations.
Yeah. So that history needs to be taken down, and then we need to like work on what it is. Would be helpful. So I think right now it's time for us to close, and we've been receiving a lot of feedbacks and inputs, and I had a lot of interactive people who took up the favorite animal test as well. I have one question to you. Did you feel connected to the animal you selected and the responses you gave and to yourself? Did that somewhere made you feel that if it made you feel that way? Yes.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question? Actually, I missed because there was some internet issue.
Were you present
Uh,
throughout, madam?
no, no, I joined Ravi.
All right. So for the others who were there throughout, when we did the animal favorite animal test, did you ever feel connected that, or did you feel that you're projecting yourself while you're talking about the animal?
Yes, ma'am. The animal that I had thought of was a camel. I always admire a camel. because it keeps moving in the desert, and I find that there's a lot of strength and resilience which the camel has, and it when there are adverse situations, something like a sandstorm, it just sits there in the sand and then just covers itself and tries to face all those challenges, and then once everything has settled down, the weather is better, it starts moving. And I find that I could always associate that with that. I don't know if I'm really strong, but then I've also had some difficult situations and I've handled that, with a lot of strength. And I believe that positivity and the attitude to in fact move on when you have bad situations and challenging situation. I think that way, I think I have definitely some of the qualities. Maybe I have to work more towards this one.
So that itself gives us some
Yes, I
new
loved it
information.
actually. Thank you. बहुत अच्छा. I loved this. Like like honestly, it is so simple to understand through this way.
Ah.
What was the activity like with animals?
I'll share the record with you, madam, so that you will know it because it's difficult for us to like repeat it because people have been
Okay.
present throughout. No, it's a big
Sure,
process.
no problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else has something to give feedback about what you did, your work for today? We've been together for quite some time.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Today's session was very interesting. Moreover, because it's my line. So, a child psychologist, I can know more. What is the thing is that I want to ask you only one thing, ma'am. Is it possible to take the session about that special children like autism or LD, or how we treat them and behavioral issues, anything else like that? ID.
Can you repeat your question, ma'am?
No, ma'am. Actually, possible to, is there any possible to take the sessions regarding that how we treat that autism
You're talking about
ID?
me, from me.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
You can take my number and it's there in the poster. No, you can WhatsApp me privately. I will guide you on what you can do about it.
Sure, sure, ma'am. Sure, sure, ma'am.
Ma'am, where are you located? Like in which part?
I'm located in Chennai.
Okay. You are a clinical psychologist?
No, I'm a counseling psychologist and an expressive arts therapist. So, thank you everyone for your participation. So, let us close for today. Thank you so much.